Hello there, it's Leandra from PaperArtsy again, and welcome to another video. It's a bit noisy in here today. We've got a big rain system over the top of us, so we've decided to go ahead and film anyway, but occasionally it might get a little bit rowdy. We'll just work our way through it. This isn't a long video, it's showing you all about how to work with our metallic paint. We have pewter and gold, and though people often have been asking us, why don't you have other colours of metallic paints? And my main answer is because actually we don't need to. What I'm going to do is show you how to change the colour of these by using your translucent paints to tint them. So it's quite a fun thing to do. Any of the translucent paints or even the semi-opaques might work. So the darker shades are the best. You want to go to colours like eggplant, hay pesto, even Hyde Park or green olives will also work. Inky Pool, South Pacific, London Bus, Claret, Blood Orange, all of those are going to be fantastic for this technique. So first off, let's make copper. So you just want to take, I've got samples here before I start just to explain to you, samples of gold and silver on black and white. Our gold is a very muddy gold, it's like an antique gold, so it's not really not really shiny bright. It's nice and, you know, that antique effect. I think the rain's coming inside here, it's even wet. And then the silver is called pewter, and that's a very soft silver, again not too shiny. So they're quite different in consistency to our other paint. So sometimes the different particles in here, the metallic particles are quite heavy and they will settle. So often what I'll do, if I haven't used my paint for a while, I'll unscrew the lid and then I'll give it a good old stir up with a cocktail stick or a coffee stirrer or something like that if I feel that the particles need a bit of a stir. Okay? The other tip is if you store your bottles upside down or just flip them over every now and then it will automatically keep them nice and blended. So that's the gold. It looks not that great when you put it out on its own. I'm not going to lie, it's not a nice looking gold when it's wet, but it dries to quite a different colour. And then I'm just going to tint that with a bit of London Bus. So when we mix the London Bus into the gold, we will create a copper colour. And you just have to experiment as to the different amounts of the two colours that you want to use. But I'm going to start with this, and I can always change it for a second layer if I want to put sort of more red into it. It's really over to you. Now both of these samples that I've already prepared here have got 2 coats of paint, so we'll put one on. And I find that the metallics do work a lot better with 2 coats. So you can kind of see the red tinting that. And then I'm going to put this one onto the black because I think the camera picks it up a bit better onto the black. And I think it needs a little bit more red in there. You're not restricted to red. You could add a dash of smoked paprika. It's really over to you. Now, because that red is quite highly pigmented, it doesn't take long to change the colour from the gold. Actually, a dash of paprika would be quite nice in that. So there is a second layer, and you can see the difference in the colour from the gold right next to it there. Okay, so that gives you an idea of how to achieve that. Now I want to show you the same thing with silver. And I'm going to come back and put another layer of those golds, the coppery shade on top, just before we move on, because it always seems to look a bit better with 2 or 3 coats of a metallic. I love the metallics under the crackle glaze with black on top. It's a really striking effect. So it's another thing that you might want to try. Okay, so that's the gold. Now, gold tinted with green looks amazing as well, so that's another one for you to try. Okay, so you can see the difference there. Okay, so the copper's nice and dry now. The metallics always look a lot nicer once they've dried off. Wet, they don't look fantastic, but they do look a lot more interesting dry. I've got nice texture underneath that one from the grunge paste that I had underneath the coat of black. So let's move on to doing the same thing but with a different colour. So this is Hay Pesto into pewter. So it makes a really nice sort of greeny colour, and quite a cool thing to do with the greens is you can create some fantastic effects by mixing it up. A bit of zesty zing in there works really well. Also, the green olives is another nice option, so if you want it to be a little bit darker or a little bit brighter, then utilise those. Holly is also another option where you'll start off with a much more khaki green, but if you mix a bit of holly with some zesty zing, then you'll take the green, you'll make it much more of a yellow green. So just play about with this. So I'll put this onto the white card. And again, we're going to need to apply a few coats. And on the black. So it takes a few layers for the pigment to come through. You want to apply it, dry it, and repeat probably 3 times at least. So that's made quite a nice pale green because I've used a mid-tone green. Hay Pesto isn't the darkest of our greens, it's just a mid-tone, so that's why that's a nice soft pale green effect. Okay, so we're going to move on to the blue. And on this one I'll pop in a little bit of an inky pool. So you can see the depth of colour on this is quite different to the green because I've gone to the darkest of blues. If I'd used Hyde Park or green olives or holly into the green, it would have had a similar effect. So one coat on that one. And dry it, and we're going to repeat this 2 or 3 times. And one more last layer. So there you have it, a nice way to make your own bespoke metallic paints just by mixing translucent paints into your gold and silver Fresco Finish metallic colours. I hope you enjoy mucking about with that technique, and don't forget to subscribe to the PaperArtsy YouTube channel, and we will see you back here next time.